I built so many mastermind groups, and a lot of them just revolved around a brainchild in a specific niche. And that would have been the entrepreneur, celebrity, or a really creative individual that found a way to break through, and everybody wants to learn from that individual. And it's been amazing. And if done correctly, your audience will even share your content. They'll be so excited about what they're seeing that before it even plays out, they're going to be sharing it already. Like, you got to see this. This is the Podcast in the Rough. Tune in every Friday for new adventurous episodes. Welcome back to another episode of the Podcast in the Rough. I'm your host, Zebulon Thomas, and this is episode 160. And this is the show where we unlock the secrets for podcasting from start to success. Today, I'm going to be going deeper into mastermind groups. This episode is a powerhouse of actionable insights on how to organize, lead, and grow your mastermind groups to new heights. I'm also going to be answering some questions I've received about mastermind groups, so stay tuned for that. So if you're hungry for knowledge about mastermind groups, stay tuned because I'm about to deliver some game-changing strategies that I've learned, earned, and developed over the course of my career. Unleashing the power of mastermind groups. Let's kick things off right now by defining what a mastermind group truly is. Picture this, a collective of driven individuals coming together to turbocharge each other's goals, share wisdom, and brainstorm revolutionary solutions. This collective genius can create systematic shifts in your personal and professional life. Mastermind groups are the core of getting things done efficiently and going beyond threshold, breaking through, pivoting, and creating next level opportunities. So I want to share with you the ultimate framework for mastermind mastery. Define your purpose. Your first step is to nail down your group's mission. What is the burning objective? It could be anything from skyrocketing business growth to crushing personal development goals. So like imagine a mastermind focused on scaling startups or enhancing personal fitness. Your purpose drives the group's energy and direction. So if you're gonna start a mastermind group, just make sure that it's aligned with something that you know a lot about or you're excited about, and you can bring the right people together to really dive deep into this and master getting people results. Now you're gonna wanna recruit the right members, bringing in individuals who are not only committed, but also offer diverse perspectives that align with your mission. So if you're diving into digital marketing, gather experts from SEO, content creation, and social media to build a well-rounded team. I built so many mastermind groups, and a lot of them just revolved around a brainchild in a specific niche. And that would have been the entrepreneur, celebrity, or a really creative individual that found a way to break through, and everybody wants to learn from that individual. And it's been amazing. The mastermind groups I've helped build out that have more than just one individual in the group that people are learning from, those are exciting too, but they hit a little differently. And it does give an overall better experience. And the outcomes are a lot different. The results are different. So you have to pick and choose on where you're positioned in your mastermind group. Are you that brainchild? Would it be better if you collaborated with someone else? How could you build out a team of experts inside your mastermind to benefit on a whole nother level? Where can you start at? You might not be able to start with a team. This might be something you start now, and as you grow, you attach to people that you find that are going to be a great fit for your mastermind group. I want you to set the expectations. Clear guidelines are your foundation. Define roles, responsibilities, and meeting schedules to ensure everyone is on the same page. If you don't have your expectations down, your mastermind group is going to become chaotic extremely fast, and it's going to start to fall apart. This is your foundation, so make sure that you clearly define what your guidelines are. So just make sure that you're dialed in on deciding your meeting frequencies, preparation requirements, and participation standards to maintain structure and clarity. Let's talk about how you create a structured agenda. Design meetings that are more than just a chat session. Incorporate updates, problem-solving actions, and plan to keep things dynamic and impactful. If you're going into this and it's feeling more like a chat, then that's not adding massive value. Make sure that you step up to the plate and you deliver on this structured agenda. My advice would be to start with personal updates, tackle current challenges, and end with actionable steps for the next meeting. It's really not hard to put this together. And trust me, if you take the time to do that, your mastermind group is going to flow. It's going to be amazing. From there, you're going to want to implement a tracking system. You want to utilize tools to monitor progress and manage tasks effectively inside your mastermind group. What I like to use is Google Docs for collaborative notes and Trello for task management. This has been a streamline for me, and it just happens to work better. You could use anything that you want as long as it helps you implement a tracking system. And like I said, Google Docs, it's free. Just jump into that, and it's very easy to share. I swear by Google Docs. I think it's amazing. Now let's move into mastering meeting dynamics. You're going to want to create some engagement strategies. And how you do this is by keeping meetings lively by making sure that everyone gets a chance to speak. Use different methods to guide the discussions and make sure that everyone has an opportunity to give you feedback. I recommend letting different members take turns, lead the meetings to keep things fresh and exclusive. Nobody really wants to hear the same talking head every single time, unless they're that brainchild. And also make sure that you have feedback loops. Asking for regular feedback will help you keep improving how your group runs. The more you know about your mastermind members, the more you can lean into that and serve them better and give them a better experience. I like to use anonymous surveys to find out what's working well and what I could do better to make my mastermind more effective, efficient, and add massive value to everybody. Definitely want to commit to your mastermind. That's all I can say about that. This all has to do with commitment. Adding massive value and committing to make your mastermind the best. Become the best at what you're doing inside your mastermind. Now let's talk about strategies for expanding your mastermind group. As your group grows, consider creating specific subgroups or inviting new members with complementary skills. My advice is to start with a broad focus and develop a niche subgroup as your network expands. And while this is happening, make sure that you're leveraging technology. Harness online platforms and streamline communication and collaboration. One of the ways that I recommend doing this is just simply using Zoom meetings and Slack for ongoing communication. You have this mastermind group. They're all engaged. You have these meetings, but you want to make sure that you keep the communication and conversations going so that you can ensure the next meeting is even better than the last and you add more value. Now let's talk about the top platforms for hosting your mastermind group. I've built successful masterminds for entrepreneurs and businesses on so many other platforms, and so I've seen a lot, and for my own mastermind group, I wanted to do something different, so I had to dive deeper. So the recommendations I have for you here are really up to you. Any one of these are going to work well. It's just what is going to be easier for you to use and navigate and maintain longevity in your mastermind group. These are my top stellar platforms to consider. Zoom. Zoom is a great way to run your mastermind. It's fantastic for video meetings and it has breakout room features. The cons are it has limited features on the free plan. I currently use Zoom on a free plan to host my podcast, and some of the long ones I have to break them up just because I decided not to invest in the Zoom for my podcast. For my masterminds, I've used Zoom a few times, but always on a paid plan. And for all the entrepreneurs that I've built these masterminds out for and had to micromanage them, we've all used Zoom because it was able to really hold up. And for those of you guys that are following some of these entrepreneurs and gurus that I've strategized for, yes, they're using Zoom. And it's a powerhouse. So that's number one. Slack. Slack is another one. It's ideal for ongoing communication and collaboration, but the cons are that it can be overwhelming with high message volume. I've seen Slack fall apart inside these companies. As much as I love it and it's fast and easy to use, but it can get very complicated and confusing, especially if you have people entering into your mastermind group that are not familiar with how Slack works. They can get lost. But I wanted to include that in this list. Microsoft Teams is another great way to run your mastermind. It integrates well with Office and Office comprehensive features, but the cons are that it can be complex to navigate. The only way I would see this to be beneficial is that if you are set up completely with Microsoft Office and you use the tools and features, that this would be a benefit for you. And if you know how to use it, then go with it. And Circle. Circle is something new. I've only had a handful of entrepreneurs that I've had to build out masterminds that insisted they wanted to put this on Circle because it was new and they were testing this out. So we got to test the waters with Circle. We've had great success with it. It's perfect for communication and it has customizable space, but the cons are that it requires a paid plan for full functionality. If you're looking to spend money on your mastermind, which you should, especially if your mastermind costs you money. Now, all the masterminds that I've built, micromanaged, and had strategies for were all very, very high-end mastermind groups. We're talking mastermind groups that were $50,000 and up to join. So there was a lot of things in this mastermind group that had to be on top level, high-end. And so we all used paid plans. So if you're doing a free mastermind group, you might want to start there. And when you start there, start with a free plan, try it out, fail forward as your group grows. There's nothing wrong with sharing that you're going to be upgrading to a paid plan and you're going to start asking for Mastermind membership fees. And that's okay. But make sure that you appreciate and give discounts to your founding members. The founding members want to grow with you in your mastermind group. So it's okay to start at the bottom and grow with them and move up. You're still adding the value. The only thing that's changing is the fact that the group is getting more notoriety, it's growing, and because it's growing, you want to add more tools and features to accommodate for all the new members. If you decide not to put a cap on how many members can get in the group, you're going to need to bring on some more admins, and this all comes with a cost. So there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, we're upgrading. These are the new tools, these new features. These are some of the new admins. We're growing this baby. It's going to be amazing. And there's going to be a fee now. And founding members get this special discount. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't be afraid to move up. There are plenty more platforms you can host a mastermind group on, including inside of a Facebook group. Believe it or not, some of the top 1% entrepreneurs that I've served, we've built out mastermind groups inside of Facebook groups, and they were highly effective. Not only do we meet inside the group and there's ongoing conversations, but we also meet in person exclusively at a luxurious location once a year. And it's a big deal. And we usually have this meeting and it goes for 3-4 days. And it's an amazing experience. But the core of the mastermind is designed and hosted inside of a Facebook group. Now, yes, we have email lists attached to every member, and we have other opportunities for them in case the Facebook group were to fail, have technical issues, or be deleted for some reason. Always make sure that you have a backup in case you need to pivot. Now I want to answer some questions from some of our listeners. Question 1. How do I get started with organizing and leading a mastermind group? Can you recommend some resources? Absolutely. To kickstart your journey and answer this question, here are some invaluable resources that I feel that you can apply right now to help you with this. First off, I want you to turn to books. And I would highly recommend starting with Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This book is a foundational text on mastermind principles. Hands down, start with that book. The second book I'd recommend is Mastermind Groups, a comprehensive guide by Michelle Williams. Her book offers practical advice on running effective groups, and you can benefit a lot from her book. So definitely check that book out too. I would also recommend getting involved in online courses. You want to look for leadership groups and facilitation courses that excite you and give you an uplifting experience. So if you can get inside some free courses or pay for some courses, the best is to attach to someone who's growing a course and go through the process with them for a little bit. There's plenty of people starting their journey right now. And many of them are going to go on to become really big groups or masterminds or leaderships or something. But you want to really get inside the process of how they're running the show and see what that's all about. And then I highly recommend, seeking out someone who has an already established mastermind group, going in there, whether it's big or small, and seeing what the experience feels like. How is the community? How does the community make you feel? Are they together? Are they communicating? Are they responsive? How are the admins? How is the brainchild in this group? What are you learning from them? How are they addressing, how many times they're holding the meetings? Really just get inside and start taking notes and start play the role of the entrepreneur. You're learning to model this and you want to learn how they're doing things and look behind the curtain, if you will, but also go in there as just the consumer to, how do I experience this? What is this? What am I taking away from this? What's the value they're adding me? Does this register with me? Do I like their deliverance? Do I like their meetings? Do I like their structure, their schedule, their agendas? So this is something that you really just got to immerse yourself into. And websites is another resource that I would recommend, and that is just Trello. Use Trello, and you can do this on your phone. You can get it as an app, but use Trello to organize the tasks and track your progress. Even with getting inside the mastermind group or building your own, use Trello to practice managing your tasks until it becomes a full-time thing, and then that's what you use. Question 2, should I find people with similar goals or diverse interests for my mastermind group? Absolutely. This is a key decision. And here's the scoop on this. Homogeneous groups. The pros are similar goals mean more target audience. The cons would be that there's less diversity in the perspective. And then there's heterogeneous groups. The pros are that these groups are diverse backgrounds leading to innovative solutions and broad perspectives. The cons are that the advice might be less appealing to individual members. So my recommendation is to start with a focused theme for your target audience. And as the group evolves, consider creating additional groups for different areas of interest. Now I want to talk about the power of podcasts to supercharge your mastermind group. If you're not podcasting yet, number one, you're missing out. Number two, you could be doing so much more and opening so many more doors with a podcast. There's so much opportunity here. And that is why this podcast focuses on how to podcast from start to success. So I want to talk to you a little bit about how you can use your podcast to really grow out a mastermind and advertise for it without having to spend bazillions of dollars to do it. And it gives you some long-form content. Content creation is extremely important in this day and age, especially with all the social media app and the hype. And it's extremely hard to navigate around the algorithm or even feed into the algorithm and get some good, pleasurable results, because I feel like the algorithm is somewhat against us. And there's more than just one. And it's hard to win that game because it's constantly changing. And a lot of times it fails and breaks and has to be fixed. And then when it's fixed, it's a mess. So you have to make sure that you're creating content. And the best way to do that is your podcast. Your podcast is a golden opportunity to showcase key insights and success stories from your mastermind sessions. So for an example, if you do a mastermind meeting, you're going to want to take the best part of that and make that into a podcast episode. From there, you're going to cut that into a micro clip or micro clips and share that on your social media. So how this content will drive traffic back to your mastermind in the form of strategic advertising is that people will see your content on your social media platforms, the micro content. It should engage them, get them excited to learn more. Then they're going to jump from there into the podcast episode where it's a full-on episode where you go into more detail, and you're going to give them just enough to where they want more. And they're going to be so much more excited about that then you move them from the podcast into the mastermind group. So just make sure that you're sharing episode features, detailed discussions, and even your members' interviews. If you can get some great feedback from your members or the results from members that they've gained from your mastermind, this is going to be gold. This is what I call social proofing. Go back through any members that you've had in your mastermind group, whether it's been a couple months or a year or a couple years. Go back and ask them to give you some feedback. A video would be ideal. And if you can't get a video, just get them to record some audio and then share that inside your podcast, inside these micro clips. And that is social proofing for your mastermind. Networking opportunities is another huge gateway because of podcasts. Use your podcast to connect with industry experts and potential members. And this is very easy to implement. You simply just invite guests who align with your group's goals to share their experience. So invite them into the podcast. From there, you can use that episode inside your mastermind group, or you can bypass the podcast and simply just invite them into the mastermind to share their story and expertise with your mastermind members. And don't forget to enhance your engagement. Engaging with your listeners on the podcast is easy to do. And you could do this by simply just like what I'm doing now is I go to the comment sections on YouTube under these podcast episodes. I look and see if there's any questions inside the groups I have. I have a podcast group on Facebook. I check the website to see if someone sent me an email or left a review or a message. And I engage with those listeners. I engage with anybody who wants to communicate and share ideas with me or ask questions. And that's really easy. Just make sure you're looking and seeking out these opportunities to enhance engagement. And give your feedback, receive the feedback, talk about it. Really just be transparent and be involved. So, again, if a listener's asking questions that sparks podcast topics and discussions, bring it up inside the podcast. Heck, even invite them into the show. Say, hey, I love this question. You want to ask it live on my podcast? Let's go. And then invite them into your podcast. Now, I want to talk about and share with you how you can get involved in our new Podcast Success Secrets Mastermind group. I shared with you last episode a little bit about this. I introduced it actually, talking about how I had a mastermind group on Facebook for about a year and a half now. And it's called the Podcast Community Mastermind Group. It's on Facebook. I had a landing page, directed everybody to that, and then they jumped into the groups. I've noticed that I've received a lot of individuals signing up for the group that never even saw the landing page because it came from recommendations or search results in Google or Facebook search. And so they found my group this way. And so I've had a really nice flow of traffic come into the mastermind group. Up until this point, it was free. And I've been testing a lot inside the group, adding massive value. And the one thing is that I wanted to focus on building a community. And I've noticed that we have a lot of great members inside this mastermind group because this mastermind group is all about podcasting. And so we have a lot of people with great podcasts. And I'm loving how they're designing their podcast, the graphics they've used, some that are just using the bare bones to record with a phone. I love the rawness because the content is so good. And the ones that are improving their quality, I love the organization and the script and all the things that they've put together to make it so professional. And that's something I geek out over. And so I like to feature and highlight these individuals, their podcasts. And we talk about podcasting. And the community has been something rewarding, but the difference in my mastermind in the Facebook group is that the communication always seems to lead into DMs. People have not warmed up with each other enough to want to share this inside the group openly. And I don't know what the reason may be. Maybe they were afraid someone's going to spin off of them, but there's plenty of diversity that I don't see that being a case. A lot of people are just shy to open up inside the group. And so I've been working on encouraging others to open up more in the group and be transparent and share their ideas for others to learn from. And it's been slowly working. With that, testing how the group works and operates, I've grown so much that I figured, you know what? It's time to move up. It's time to really dedicate to a platform that is going to be more beneficial for me to operate and give the user a better experience. And also, now that I'm charging for the mastermind group and made this group official, that now it's simply streamlined for individuals who are really dedicated to going to the next level with their podcast. And I've incorporated a lot of entrepreneurship strategies, not just for podcasting, but in business. So they can also ask me business questions and I can help advise them on the strategies and creativity to get them to where they need to go. The Podcast Community Mastermind was the group on Facebook, and it still is, but I'm now going to be using that just as a small hub for people to ask questions and still let people fall into the group. I'm not going to close the group. I like what we have there. It's great. But I am encouraging the members, if they would like to step up, they get a founding members discount and they can step up and move to the new mastermind. And the new mastermind is called the Podcast Success Secrets Mastermind. And there it is. It's all about podcast success secrets that I've learned, earned, and developed over the 17 plus years of my career. And so I'm giving them the very best. And now my price for this mastermind is still extremely low because the value I'm giving is going to really help individuals grow. But I'm keeping my mastermind low because I still want to learn and grow inside this mastermind group. And I still want to reach people that, are still starting out in podcasting. So individuals that are just starting out, they usually don't have a big budget for anything else besides their podcast equipment. And even that could be a struggle. So I wanted to make my mastermind affordable, but yet I still had to have the monetary commitment because if they're not committed financially, they're not going to stay committed in communication and showing up. And I want to make sure that showing up is important. You're building on the community and you're participating. Participation is a must inside this mastermind group. And I even stated inside my rules that if you don't participate and you're not active within 30 days, you're not in this group anymore, even if you paid. There is no refund on that. And so show up and dedicate yourself to this and do it. And if you don't feel the time is right and you can't commit to that right now, then take some time off and don't commit. But you're doing a disservice by not stepping forward and leading, because your services, your podcasts, your masterminds that you will create are going to go on to help other people. So you're doing a disservice to the world and other people by not sharing the knowledge that you have. It is so important to share what you have because you might not think you can help others, because I know a lot of people have this imposter syndrome. You can totally help others, even if it seems like you just got the minimum to share. Sometimes that's the key that unlocks the door. And that's the exact reason why I put my Podcast Success Secrets Mastermind group together in full force. We're showing up. We're ready to go. We're adding value. And it's all right here inside the Podcast Success Secrets Mastermind. So how do you get involved? If you're ready to elevate your podcasting game and unlock new opportunities, the Podcast Success Secrets Mastermind is your gateway to advanced strategies and tools for podcasting growth and monetization. I want to make sure that you're making money with your podcast in some way. And there's so many different ways to do that. And inside this mastermind, I'm diving into everything from marketing techniques to creating captivating content that resonates with your audience. One of the biggest things is how to create content that is engaging, that doesn't feel like it's marketing, that doesn't feel like it's telling them what to do. It's literally entertaining to them, to the audience. And that's what a lot of people get wrong, is they're trying to market and put something and a CTA right in their face when you got to warm them up and you got to entertain them and you got to educate them and you got to show them why they even need to stick around to watch this ad or listen to this podcast or this micro content, because you got to get them excited to say, hey, you know what? This seems entertaining, or it seems educational, and this content is just exciting for some reason. And if done correctly, your audience will even share your content. They'll be so excited about what they're seeing that before it even plays out, they're going to be sharing it already. Like, you got to see this, right? And that's what I've been able to have extreme success in and add massive value to companies from all over the world with my commercial content that I've created as a videographer. I'm a podcaster. It's something I love to do. It started as a hobby and then quickly became something that, I had the opportunity to scale up companies using podcasts. And it was like they said, hey, can you do a podcast? Absolutely. I've been waiting for this moment. And I dived into it and I said, let's go. And I've been able to add massive value and fail forward with big companies that spend millions of dollars on their podcasts. So I had an incredible opportunity at the top to make sure that I can apply these strategies and see if they work with an unlimited budget, basically, to see what works and what doesn't work. Because of that, I was able to test things that would be extremely beneficial, but at high risk, at a very fast rate, something that would probably take me years to do with other clients, maybe startup companies, and find out that we would have been successful if we would have just stayed committed, or if the budget didn't run out, or if we could afford to fail and then get up and try again and fail again and get up and try again and then succeed and win it all back, if you will. That's the type of success that I've been able to test out with the strategies that I have for podcasting. I'm bringing all of that A game, that track record, those successes and failures, trials and tribulations, the stressors, the success and triumphs, the excitement, the celebrations, the launch parties inside my mastermind group. I'm sharing it with everybody because I used to just love the fact that I could tell a local business that I'm able to give them the Mountain Dew commercial that would cost to create. I'm giving it to them for a fraction of the cost because I'm the guy who created those things. I'm the guy who creates commercials and next level podcasts and mastermind groups, but I get to deliver it inside my mastermind group and to my clients and to my members at a fraction of the cost, because we all have to start somewhere. And why not? Why not take what I've learned and give it back to the people that are going to become our next founding leaders in this country, in this world, in the podcast industry, across industries. I want to enable others to become the next, whatever that is, that we look up to, that will serve us. And if I just give this to the elite, it's not fair. It's not always about fattening my pockets and only working with the top. When you get to the top, it's very lonely. When you get to the top, there's actually less excitement, less adventure. It's the journey to the top. That is the exciting adventure. That is the most rewarding. That is, the crash and burn, right? And getting back up. And that's the journey. That's the thing that is exciting. And I encourage people to do that. So again, I've reached the top several times. And every time I'm like, you know what? There's another way. Let's shift it. Let's go a different direction. Let's do this again. And I kind of I'm in love with the process. And it sucks because sometimes it is hard. But at the same time, that's living. That's living on the edge. That's breaking through. That's going for it and just seeing victory after victory because we kept going. We got back up. We got back up. We keep getting back up. And that's what I do it for. So I want to encourage you. Now I'm going to give you my CTA. I want to encourage you to join the Podcast Success Secrets Mastermind. And you do that by going to thepodcastintherough.com/learn. That is thepodcastintherough.com/learn. And this is your chance to take your podcast and your mastermind group to the next level because I'm sharing all of that information inside this group. I will share with you the platform that I'm using for my mastermind is Buy Me a Coffee. I really love the interface, how it works. And right now it seems to be a great fit for what I'm doing. It might work for you, it might not. And I'm going to do something different. And I don't know many people that are actually doing a mastermind on Buy Me a Coffee. I know some that are doing it in Patreon, but I'm doing it with Buy Me a Coffee. Yes, I would encourage you to go to the landing page of the URL that I just gave you, but you can also find the mastermind group on Buy Me a Coffee by simply going to buymeacoffee.com/in-the-rough. buymeacoffee.com/in-the-rough. That's the direct URL. But the reason why I want you to go to the landing page because I want you all to have the experience of the flow of traffic and how I lead people into the mastermind group. It's just a little bit more information. And eventually I'll have a video on there. I just been so busy building this out again that the video that I had on there before, I took it down because it just didn't fit. It had to be changed. Keep your podcast mastermind up to date and relevant. Add massive value. That's all I have for you for this week's episode of the Podcast in the Rough. I'm so excited to have this opportunity to share my podcast with all of you. And I would appreciate it if you've got anything from this podcast. If this episode has done anything for you and add value, please take a moment to go to Apple Podcast and leave a rating and review. I would love to get your feedback on how I can improve this podcast. I've been working really hard on the quality. I mix and master this myself. This is all hands on deck with me. I'm giving myself what I gave for years to other entrepreneurs that did not appreciate at times the value that I was trying to create for them and the quality. And I say that because so many entrepreneurs were so obsessed with just making money that they didn't care about quality. And even though things would take longer to get them done for better quality, they would try to shortcut and say, it's not important, just get it out. Your strategies are amazing. We don't need the quality. And that. Unfortunately, that's not what I do. My style is always adding massive value with quality in the content, not just the strategies to make money. So I give myself all of that, especially when I have the time. I will go over and beyond to make sure that my quality and the experience of my podcast episodes are on point. And so here at the Podcast in the Rough, I am delivering you the highest professionalism that I can offer to you. And that also is shared inside my mastermind group. And I want to show you how to do that. And we lead by adding massive value. We lead by quality content. Even if it's just using a phone, I might add, there's still a way to master out the quality of your phone by doing just a few little things to edit, mix and master, and make that podcast episode shine even brighter. It's the diamond in the rough. That's why this is the Podcast in the Rough, right? We're going to polish this baby up and we're going to make it shine. And everyone's going to be like, where did that come from? It's the hidden treasure. You are my audience. You are my gems. I'm trying to shine you all up so you can go on to be amazing and enhance the quality of your lives as well and your podcast. So thank you so much for tuning in. I will speak with you next week for another great episode of the Podcast in the Rough. Take care. This is the Podcast in the Rough.